Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm quickly start recording the session now. And I'm also gonna share the screen. So in the chat box, if you can just confirm if you can see my screen, it should show bright space. So you can just use a smiley emoticon there or any face there. So it's showing Google now. I'm not sure if you are seeing the same screen as I'm sharing. So if you can confirm that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. We gonna be focusing on today class session to assign assessment 3, which is posted on Brightspace. So this is a landing page on Brightspace for applied digital marketing. And you will see here you have assessment 3, and probably some of you or most of you already seen it, but we're gonna discuss it into detail today and answer any questions that you might have regarding the assessment. I've also prepared the learning activity, but it's an online quiz. Then we're gonna do that later so we can see where you struggle or where we need more clarity on. So firstly, the submission is due on the 15th of August. And you will see under the assessment content, you'll have to review the abstract or the proposal, which is similar to what you've done in assessment 2. And then you have to develop a research proposal, but you will see it specific here, theoretical model. So I think that also guide you that when you develop a research proposal this time, I'll only be marking the theoretical framework or theoretical model paragraph. So previously you submitted the assessment 2, and in that assessment 2, I doubt that most of you included or proposed a theoretical framework. So this is an important part of your research proposal. It's needed because that's what we discussed last week, or no, the week before, whereby we looked at the theories. Remember, we looked into chapter 3, the digital theories or digital models, and we discussed those models. So when you start your study, it should be based on some theory, which has been tested and validated by others. So I'm going to quickly click here to download the assessment guidelines. Then you can go through them. So in the assessment guidelines, like the assessment is indicated, you've got 2 sections, section A and section B. So starting with section A, whereby you review the abstract, you will see you have it's out of 25 marks, and that abstract is in annexure A. So when you go down at the end, you've got that abstract, which is about the effect of digital signage on shoppers' perception of the retail environment and approach of avoidance responses. And you have to review that title, review this background that is written here based on the elements we've discussed, review rationale as well. And it also guides you here. You must also review a theory that was proposed, that was used in that proposal. So you will see when you go down in the annexure A, they propose, the authors here or of the proposal, they propose that they're gonna use this model. So you have to evaluate if this model can be adopted into this study by reading about this model, understanding this model, understanding the study as well. So look at other studies that are similar or other studies that apply this model and just have a look in terms if it's valid for a study such as this one. And then we're also going to discuss some key elements or some key ingredients under theoretical models. So by the end of today online session, you should be able to have more to discuss or more bullets that you need to discuss. So that's the illustration of that module, the SOR module, which was used in this article. Yeah, just 2 paragraphs in that. And then if you go back to the marking rubric, you also have to review and analyze whether they've done the citation and the list of references in correctly according to TUT citation method there. Couple of things that you have to look. Once you have downloaded the TUT citation guide, you will know how the use of the brackets, how the use of the year, and then the comma and so on, the symbol, and then how does it work when you do citation. For example, when we look here, you note a couple of things. For example, that they use a symbol and because the citation or the authors are in brackets, but when you look at the authors while they're outside of brackets, it will indicate that the use of the word and should be used rather than the symbol. Okay, they haven't referenced something similar to that. The use of et al, how many authors are included there. So you'll have to go through it and review it completely. You'll also have to always review if this person was actually being cited for the first time in this paragraph. For example, if they cite these authors for the first time, there is no problem about including them all. It's always use et al if you cite them for the second time. For example, if you quickly done a quick search here, you say Dennis and you copy that. And let's say find Dennis in this article. This is another trick you can use. You will see that's a different article. I'm going to quickly go back to that one, the one that we've opened. Okay, we're looking for this Dennis. So it's Dennis 2012. The article was published in 2012 with these other authors, because it seems like there are many Dennis in this article. You'll see now they use et al there. So that, because it's the same article, is also 2012. So it won't be necessary for you to say they actually cited everyone, whereas they were supposed to use et al. When you cite authors for the first time, you always include all of them. But all those details are in the TUT citation box, so you go into detail with that. And then the list of references, you also search that if it's used correctly, alphabetically ordered, and so on. And then you focus on section B. And section B of the assignment, that's where you have to continue with your proposal. So you already have an abstract or a proposal where you've discussed your introduction as well as your background, your rationale. So now you must include one of the modules in your proposal. So this is what I'll be marking, or I'll be focusing on, is out of 55 marks. Firstly, the theoretical model that you used. In the paragraph there it says theme sentence to grab readers' attention. So I kind of gave you some sort of guidelines of how to write this paragraph, but you can write it differently. This is the guidelines coming from, you will see here in the bright space under content. Your previous assessment 2, you under welcome here, you had an article guideline, how to write an article. And in that guidelines, basically you are supposed to read this article and understand this article so that it gives you guidelines of reviewing or to find the key elements that are needed in a research proposal article. So some of these guidelines are here. For example, things such as the 6 elements of an introduction or well-written introduction. So if you quickly go there, an introduction consists of 6 elements. Element 1, the writer. first has to state the broad theme of the topic. And you will see here, they give you those guidelines. And once you come to the second paragraph, it also gives you the key ingredients about grabbing the attention of the reader's attention as well. So, for example, if you've done a quick search here, a title should attract the reader's attention. They talk about that. Formal editors prefer formal titles that are not too clever or too cute. Although it grabs the attention, the title more than a one-night stand. So think about a title such as that one. It can grab a they use nice example here. More than a one-night stand. Obviously, you'll be interested to read that article if you see titles such as that one. But they say that one is not appropriate. So you must use some sort of academic as well as professional title that or words or paragraph or sentence or theme that grab users' attention. So these guidelines are coming from this article. I've just selected for you to make it easier for you to write that paragraph. So you're gonna start firstly, as the guidelines indicate here, start with the theme sentence to grab readers' attention. You define the theory model that you're gonna use there. Excuse me, sorry, not the theory that you're gonna use. Here you provide a definition. So let's say this is the first sentence. Gonna have that first sentence that is just general sentence that you think it applies. You cite that sentence. Afterwards, you provide a definition of a theoretical model in general. What is the meaning of the word theoretical model? Not the model that you're gonna use. So you define the term theoretical model. You compare theoretical model with conceptual model. This you can do in 2 sentences or in a quick short table or in 3 sentences, whereby what's the difference between theoretical and a conceptual model, because you need to understand that as you write your research proposal. At the end of the day, your research project will have both a theoretical and a conceptual model, but there are key differences and people tend to use these words interchangeably, and sometimes it does not have the same meaning. They define their approach. And then you do some sort of most wide search or systematic review where you find the used theories, the most that one are used regarding your study. So if your study is about social media, what are the theories used to understand social media? So you do some table there, you find maybe 10 or most 5 theories that are used there, but it must be in a table. So it says mentions here. What does that mean? It simply talks about if you say the most used theory is theory of planned behavior, or the most used theory is theory of technology acceptance. You will get all these theories once you do your searches. So you indicate how many people have mentioned that theory in your search. So obviously you won't do a thorough search whereby you search all articles in the world. For example, if you search 10 articles, you review only 10 articles. Out of 10, how many authors have mentioned that theory? So if it's mentioned by 5 articles or 5 authors, we will see that becomes number 1. If it's mentioned by 2, so those mentions is a number of how many times it appears in the academic journals. Your table 1 will also show things such as concepts that are discussed in that theory. So obviously the theory, if the theory is about social media, it will talk about concept of social media. For example, social media concept could include things such as the share button or the influence of the like button, of the interaction, of the comment, of a Facebook page. It could be social media streaming site, YouTube. So what were they discussing? This is just one way that you're gonna include there. Your authors. Yebo.
Your screen, it doesn't appear on my side.
What do you see on your screen?
Oh, now it's appearing. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's technology, the beauty of technology. It thought you were sleeping, so it just wanted to wake you up. So you say it's appearing right now?
Yes, sir, it's clear now. Thank you.
Okay. And you include the authors, for example, here, this is not something that you're gonna do for the first time. These authors already, you'll have them in the list of references. You just have to re-include them in the table, but in the list of references, those are all your details there because those are the articles that you have searched. And then the results, you discuss those results, or for example, if the most used one is a specific theory you mentioned, this is the used one followed by that one. There are some examples that you can use there. I'm also going to try and do this practically with you today using any topic so that you clearly understand what you're going to do and see how to do it or how easy and challenging it is to do it. And then you apply one theory, you define that theory, you show the diagram of that theory. For example, in the annexure that we see, you saw a diagram there. Last time I spoke with you, we discussed chapter 3. We had some diagrams. So you must also illustrate the diagram. And then you just provide a discussion of how that theory works. And then I'll also review or mark how you did the in-text reference as well as soft list of references. So this is a rubric that I'll be using to mark. You make sure that everything is covered, and you can get full marks if you make everything is covered here, because we also provide you with some guidelines. Those guidelines that you see there, you will see when you come to section B, they are written clearly here. So section B, develop a research proposal on digital market topic of your interest. Once again, the assessment tool that you've submitted, if you are 100% happy with your topic and you think this is the topic that you're gonna use, you're gonna continue with your studies on, you understand the topic. For example, if your topic is about social media and you love social media, it's about the influence on sales, for example. That's the generic example. So you've already covered all this part. You don't need to redo them. You just have to take the same project and continue working on it on a theoretical paragraph. So you're gonna add that theoretical model part. If you are, you think that at this stage when you're doing the assignment 2, probably maybe you did not have a lot of knowledge and you still wanna change, you still wanna do a different topic, and you're more than welcome to do that. You can start a new topic and work on it because maybe now you understand the topic and maybe you're happy with the second chance to actually take another direction.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
okay, yes, yeah. So that will work. Did you have a question?
No, sir, I was saying thank you for letting us to change the topic if we want to.
So you also want to change yours?
Yeah, yes, sir, I'm thinking of doing that because with the topic that I've used, I didn't get like a lot of information regarding that.
And by the time you realize that you don't get much information, you already done maybe 10 hours of the search and you have done the assignment, and then you understand because you were doing you are rushing as well as under pressure of submitting the deadline. But afterwards you get more time, you understand the topic. So yeah, I will mark. But what you need to understand is that changing that topic, it does not mean that I will remark this part. So this part I will have to remark it on the final project. I will only concentrate on theoretical model paragraph, but it should not be empty. I should just indicate that because I won't understand this if I don't have that. So you won't get marks for this on assessment 3, but you'll get marks for theoretical model paragraph. But you are doing this for a future for assessment 6 because your final assessment is going to be your final project where you do all the revised changes and so on. So, sorry, the question?
No, sir, I'm saying thank you.
Okay. All right. So it means that's clear, crystal clear. Okay. And so let's quickly do some sort of practical application of this paragraph so that you understand, and if you have questions, and you can see on the screen how it applies. So firstly, we're gonna open Word document here. And we're gonna start this as a learning activity. So I'm just gonna call it learning activity 1. And about, let's say, 2 to 3 minutes. In the chat box there of the Microsoft team, please type the proposed title. So type any proposed title. It shouldn't be necessary about your study. If you want it, it could be about your study. We're gonna select one of the proposed title, and then we're gonna just do a quick search and look for practical of that. But any proposed title that you think it's simple, so go for simple thing that you think it's gonna be easy to understand. Proposed title that we will work on. And it doesn't have to be a title. If you want, you can just type things such as what variable should we focus on. For example, if you think we should do this about social media, you can just indicate that how about social media, or if you think about things such as there's many topics: kiosk keys, digital signage, mobile smartphones. So any topic of your interest there. Let's work on to understand theoretical framework. So it is now 1:25. So I'm gonna give you about 2 to 3 minutes in the chat box there. So please type that for me. And we're gonna quickly look in those topics and choose one, and then we'll do it practically together, and then you will see how it applies.
Sir,
Yebo Makofane.
I'm struggling to find the chat box because I've logged in with my cell phone, so I don't find the option for chat box.
Or if you can indicate it for me, do you have any idea or any interest?
Yes.
Which is?
Student perception or experience on three-dimensional visual environment experience towards e-learning activities.
Okay, so in simple words, I will just call that e-learning. I'll type it here in the chat box so that we can also consider it. So e-learning activities. I think yes. Okay, so I've typed that there for you, so we'll consider it as well.
Thank you.
Pleasure. All right, thank you for that participation. I see we've got one about digital signage. This will work super well because if we consider an overall of the Annexure A, you've got the Annexure A, there's your research proposal. It's about digital signage. So it will link to this as well as it will link to how did they get to this framework. We can consider that as a one specific aspect. And then e-learning activities, which you also indicated, that could also work, but I'm not too familiar with this topic. But that will also be a challenge because these topics, it does not need you to be familiar with them to do this thorough research. So it will be interesting to also look at e-learning activities. Online shopping, this one is also nice to understand, and it's all of us, we understand online shopping, so we can relate it nicely together because online shopping is something simple to understand. Most people will understand digital marketing, they will understand online shopping, but if you tell them about e-learning activities, you'll have to explain more. If you tell them about digital signage, you have to explain more. So let's quickly go to our paragraph there and copy the guidelines. So we've got these guidelines here. So let's quickly copy that. We're gonna try and do it based on this. So let's start with the title. Let's just quickly conduct a search about online shopping and see what we find. Very important. So our topic, we don't search them here on the main search engine. We search them on everything about articles. We search them on Google Scholar. So you can just use the word Scholar on search engine and then it will take you to Google Scholar there. So the nice thing about this, it only return articles. It only return accredited journal articles which are valid. So any article that you find underneath here, you can use it, because I've noticed that some of the times when you use the main search engine, you'll find some of the articles are not published and you cite that and you reduce validity of your study. And as well as you find information, maybe a definition, and that definition is not written by academic scholars. There is nothing wrong about that. You can use such definitions and reference the web page, but you must just make sure that the web page is more valid. So we can't accept definitions from some website. For example, Wikipedia is not an accredited source. So use Wikipedia to understand, but never use Wikipedia to reference in the academic journals, because people can change that information. That's the problem with Wikipedia, is that the information, the definition that you cite there tomorrow or after 1 year, it's no longer the definition. So it's changed, or whatever information, because they keep updating that information. So we need published, whereby we can search that information and find that information as it was published during that particular period. So let's quickly say online shopping. Online learning, you see it also comes out there. You will see, for example, here they use trust and TAM model. So these are the modules, I'll read it that I used there. But now let's do it step by step. We're gonna start by our topic. Let's say we're gonna look into online shopping and what. So in this study, they've looked into online shopping and purchasing behavior. So that gives us an idea. Maybe our study could be about behavior. This one, they look at the attitudes. In this study, they look at the retention and so on. So let's propose our title. So we will say in this case, maybe let's look at students, because that's what we can relate to mostly. Students' attitudes, or let's use perceptions. Student perceptions and purchase intentions. So one, they've looked at purchase intentions. Towards online shopping. So let's say at Pretoria. In South Africa. You can also edit your title to show the models. You saw some titles, they show the model in the title. It makes it nicely as well. You can show other aspects here in the title that are very important and they make your title to be interesting. For example, this could be things such as a mix method. You know, you can use quantitative, or you say a quantitative or a survey method, or for example, this could be if you're going to conduct this research using quantitative studies, they're going to complete a questionnaire. Maybe we say a survey, but a survey is too common. So if you're gonna make it nice, maybe you wanna do your research study, you can use something such as a mixed method. It's hardly used. So a mixed method means you're gonna collect both qualitative. Mixed method approach. You're gonna collect both qualitative and quantitative in your study. So I'll be quite interested in a study such as this one. Or it could be about a model, but for now we don't understand the models yet. So as soon as we understood the models, we can replace this and say using a specific model. So this part I will leave it out for now because this is assessment 2. So, and we've covered this. What needs to go there? Start with the theme sentence to grab the reader's attention. For example, that could be an interesting quote. Interesting quotes work nicely. So let's find one interesting quote about our title. So our title is about online shopping. Yeah, this you can do it on Google search. So you can quickly say online shopping quotes. Just read a quick few, the one that you like, that is interesting. So you can use things such as images. They make it nicely here. I was sad, but then I bought something online. I feel better now. 100%. It's very nice. Gives us that. It's cute. It's appropriate. It's an add to cart kind of day. Happiness is not money, but shopping. Stay home and shop online. You see, this one relates to COVID in some way, or you are too pretty to have to look for a parking spot. And then you just look at the one that you like the most and the one that relates to academic. But if you want the one that are more research or academic, you can also tell Google what it should look for you. Online shopping, you indicate research code. That will be about more research. You'll see now the online shopping, because it's frowned upon to be a store with no bra. See, it's inappropriate there. I love buying things online. They use a third person. So I will say, obviously you have enough time to do this, but for now, let's quickly take something such as this one. And then you go to this original source because you'll have to reference this source. And you also need to find out who said that code. So we have it here. You can do something such as find, stay home, and shop online. So we already have a code that we find interesting, and we can find the original person who said that, but it's too general. It can't be specific to someone, but you can take something such as this one. South Africans are being encouraged to stay home and shop online. Even this sentence, the whole sentence is interesting enough. You'll see it goes to relating to COVID, and that's the current situation. It's about adapting. So you'll see this website, it's more professional. We can reference that website. So the website, it's posted by press release. You can see in 2021 there. So let's start our paragraph with that. So we will write here. Interesting quote to grab users' attention. Obviously, we won't have those bullets. I'm just gonna keep those guidelines underneath. So stay home and shop online. Just to grab users' attention there. Must reference that press release. You can, if you understand how to reference, you can do it quickly using this find because you're looking at the information on the screen. So firstly, you reference, it's gonna be written like this in the list of references. You know it's gonna be upper cases, press releases. This was published in 2021. You'll excuse me about the keyboard noise there. It's just refusing this way that it can't find them, but I'm just using this as a screen to copy and paste. That's our title. And we know when you reference, you must also indicate the website that you got it from. TUT it says, so you're gonna write pay fast. Are you also hearing the sound or is only me? This was posted on the 9th of July. TUT method, it wants the date. Available from, which is the website. And lastly, when did we access that? We accessed it today. And I can copy this quickly and paste it in our list of references. So our list of references, we've already have that information. It's just to show you practically and to learn some steps here or some tips how you can basically enhance your search style that you are using to find articles. So you can see I've already have that information. It's referenced. And then usually we put those, we call that citation. Don't have to rewrite this. If you're familiar enough with weight, you can tell it that you just need to capitalize each weight. And then it's a comma. And then we're done with that sentence of interesting quote. So this one is done. I'm gonna remove it. Define the term theoretical model. So we're not defining online shopping. That will be defined in the introduction. Remember, it will be already defined. So we must define what is theoretical model. Once again, here are some tips to search or to use Google Scholar. We want the definition not to come from the website. This was just an interesting quote. So, and as well as, I just have to go back here. Sorry, I'm gonna undo. This quote, it's about, it says that the theme sentence to grab readers' attention, interesting quote. So this quote, I have to indicate something to you here. This code, it should be about theoretical models because we are discussing theoretical models. So you will see the ones that we have here. It actually belongs in the beginning of your assessment. You always start with something to grab users' attention in every sentence. So it belongs here. I'm not sure if that makes sense, ladies and gentlemen. It does not belong here. So here we need an interesting quote about theoretical model. But in the interest of time, I will keep this one. You will know that when you search here, instead of searching quote about on your topic, you'll search about theoretical model. So the next thing is to define. The term theoretical model or theory or theoretical framework. If you are looking for a definition, here are some tips on how to search for a definition, and the results will give you a definition. So first of all, you will know that Google here, I'm going to search on Google Scholar because I want the definition to come from the article. Google used some sort of, if you put words in those inverted commas like that I'm doing here and say, maybe theoretical model, you write the sentence exactly how you think it will be written in an article. So if I think authors, when they define theoretical model, they will write it as follows. They will say theoretical framework refers to. I'm thinking maybe they will write it like this. And I put it in those two inverted commas. Google will give me exactly that information as it's written. So it won't look for these words one by one. It will look at these words together like this. So you'll see when I search, you see theoretical refers to the basis upon which the whole research project is based upon. You will see it looked for this word exactly like this. So when you search, have something in mind, the hypothesis that I'm looking for this information, I'm thinking this information will be written like this. And then it's going to make your search so much quicker and so much easier, because you will see here, all these are definition to any formal, informal theoretical structures used to explain the events in a therapy hour. They applied it to here, refers to the concept, competencies, disclosure. Theoretical refers to a theory that a researcher chooses to guide him or her in his or her research studies. This is the correct definition that we're looking for. Some of these are applied. Here is another idea. Instead of using the word it refers to, think logically. How can someone else define or use the words or structure the sentence to define something? Maybe he will write theoretical framework is defined as, or let me say is defined. You see, it's defined as empirical. Google look for those words exactly there. So I'm gonna quickly take that one. It says a theoretical framework refers to a theory that research chooses to guide him or his research studies. It's just a general one. And you obviously have to search it on search engine to understand what is a theoretical framework. Obviously, you have to rewrite this sentence. I'm gonna copy it and paste it the way it is for now. It's gonna be the next sentence in our paragraph here. And we must cite this sentence, but obviously we have to rewrite it. A theoretical framework refers to a theory that a researcher chooses to guide him or her in his or her research. You'll see, maybe we can change that. We can say it refers to a theory that guides a research project which is identified, for example, using our own weights, and selected by the researcher, because it still have the same meaning. And this is called paraphrasing. So obviously when we start to use the plagiarism tool, which runs there, it won't say we did copy and paste there. These are in commas, so it indicates we did copy and paste, but That's why it will find it, but we put it in those commas to show that we are aware of that. Quick reference, how do you reference this? This is easier. This is nicer than referencing an article. You will see because, it's nicer and faster than referencing a website because journal articles are already referenced in Google Scholar. It's so clever about that. So you'll see here, we've got those sites, for example. There we go. We've got that citation there. But this is not TT method, but it's more or less similar. So if you copy that, we know it should be in alphabetical order. So meta IP, it will come before this. Let it use what we are using, the style that we are using there. So, and then you'll just change some of the elements that TT wants here quickly. For example, uppercases, comma, there is no full stop, it's double spacing. It's also written in italic, but this is not written in italic. You see, when I start checking your assessment, your citation, and so on, I will have to also evaluate if you understand the reference style. So that's how you reference it. Obviously, you also need to find the page number where it was indicated in the page number. So, but that you can do after downloading an article and taking your time to read it. So at the moment, I know that article goes from page 185 to 195. Probably they define it in the first page or second page, but I will find it there. And you've done the second element. You've defined what is a theoretical framework. You remove that part. Differentiate between theoretical and conceptual framework. And I've provided you with some article here. Refer to article guidelines for selecting a theoretical framework. There's a nice article that tells you the difference between a theoretical and a framework. And that defined theoretical framework can tell you the differences between theoretical framework and conceptual framework. So let's quickly go to that article. It's written by Onsalo and Grant 2016. It's already uploaded on Brightspace. If you want, you can quickly download it here. So that will be under chapter 4, learning unit, chapter 3, sorry, because these are theoretical frameworks. You'll see you've got 3 articles there. So you've got the first one, articles for selecting a theoretical framework is the one that we are looking for. So it's just 15 pages. You spend some time, you read about it. It's the best article to understand the differences there. You've got other 2 articles there. I've suggested that you can look into to understand other aspects of what you need to do there. So let's quickly open this one. I'm going to quickly download it.
Sir, is it okay to use these articles on our study?
It's okay. You can take a definition on this article or take yes, it's okay because it's the best article. For example, if you take this, do you see this title? I'm copying it here, and look when I paste it on Google Scholar. I just want to show you something. This article, can you see how many people have referenced it?
Yes.
1,300 people. So it means this article is so good because this also counts whenever you search for information. Also use this as your guide because it tells you how many people have referenced that article, which shows that the information there, it's more quality, it's more valid, and so on. So yes, it's okay. I'm suggesting that you read that article and you use some of information, reference the article. It's okay, 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And that article, if you look here, where is that article now? Okay, it's this one. Understanding selecting a theoretical framework. It tells you what is a theoretical framework nicely. So you'll see some of those guidelines that are indicated there that you should follow, they are already written here. What is a theoretical framework? So the definition, you can also find it here as well, but you just have to paraphrase it. So they define it nicely here. It's a blueprint for the entire dissertation. It serves as a guide on which to build and support your study, provide your structure. They define it nicely. They also relate it to, I love the idea that they relate it to here. They say, we liken the theoretical framework to the blueprint for a house. You, the student, are an architect who is charged with choosing what you are going to build and how the property will be constructed as you imagine it. Once you create a blueprint, others will have a basic idea of what concept and principles you will use to establish in your study. There are two types of houses. For example, you've blueprints that are used, drawings to do a house. You've got an exterior view such as this one. When they draw the house, they will show you the exterior view. And then they show in this article, they tell you that the exterior view, it relates, there are different types of exteriors or house design of exterior views. For example, they talk about things such as you've got flats. I think they talk about them quickly here. Okay, yeah, they talk about them here. They say there are type of houses like a ranch, American Foursquare, and so on. But in South Africa, when we relate this, we've got things such as flats, we've got things such as township houses, kasi houses, modern houses, and so on. All these houses, it's a blueprint how you can build a house. It's the same thing that applies to a theoretical framework. So theories are a blueprint. For example, you've got these theories, they explain them there. And then they also tell you that they also use another design for illustrating a house. They will use a floor plan. You'll see this is a floor plan of the house, which shows the inside, the elevators, the doors, and so on. So this example, it relates to the concepts of your theoretical framework. They define it nicely in this example. They say the floor plan of the blueprint contains theoretical principle, construct, or concept. For example, if the theory it's a theory of planned behavior, the concept that I discuss inside could be things such as behavior, things such as attitudes. The common theory that we use in marketing is buying process or consumer decision making process, the ones that would need recognition. So those are the concepts: need recognition, buying, post-purchase behavior, and so on. So all these concepts actually we will find them under those theories there. Okay, I've noted that comment there. It's recorded. You'll just have to watch the full recording to understand more further. And they also talk about the difference between a theoretical and conceptual framework. So you can find that discussion there, and you can use some sort of a table, you can use some sort of a sentence to show the differences between a theoretical framework in your study as well. So that's the next step here: differentiate between theoretical framework and conceptual framework. So if you do a quick search, for example, here, or after you've read and understood that article, you can use some of the information there as well. So if I do a quick search and I say differences between theoretical and conceptual framework, you'll see they define them here in all this website. Theoretical framework provides a general set of ideas in which a study occurs. The conceptual refers to the basic ideas. And even in that article, they differentiate. So if we take this one, it's a discussion on ResearchGate. So if we take one of the sentence here, you see this was asked by a student. He's doing his postgraduate studies and is asking about those differences. And then people answered him, these are researchers, ResearchGate is, and one person, it says, the difference between theoretical and conceptual framework is a scale. Sorry, adverts. Referring to big ideas and small ones, the conceptual is a set of specific that can be used within a larger theoretical framework. I love that article that we're reading about, so let's see what they say here. Traditionally, theoretical frameworks are developed before data collection in quantitative studies. So let's find one about theoretical conceptual framework, because we've already have theoretical framework in our mind. On other hand, a conceptual framework is the researcher's understanding of how the research problem will be best explored, the specific direction the research will take, the relationship between the different variables of the study. Conceptual framework lays out key factors, construct variables, relationships amongst them. And then they say this person defined it nicely here, Miles and Heber 94. It is a system of concept, assumption, and belief that support and guide the research plan. So let's take their definition. They say, is the researcher's understanding of how the problem will be explored. So we've got a definition that comes from this article. And where are we with our paragraph? We are somewhere here. A conceptual framework. It's researchers' understanding of how the research problem will be best explored. Obviously, we have to paraphrase this. So a conceptual framework is a researcher's understanding. So I'll just say of the research problem. Okay, it loses the meaning of how the research problem will be best investigated. For example, you can also use some ideas here to run away from plagiarism, as well as things such as synonyms work as well here. Where is synonyms? Synonyms explored, discovered, but in general it loses a meaning. So think hard, investigated. And illustrates, for example, the relationship between different variables of the study. That's clear. We reference this sentence. So this sentence comes from that article. I think we've already searched it here. So there it is. If you want, you can also do it in a table, because most studies do it in a table format. For example, remember when I've searched here on Google Scholar, because you'll need to read more about the differences here. And you will see if you take another website like such as this one, probably they will differentiate it in a table format, because every time you differentiate something, It's nicer to always show it in a table format. Oh, this websites. Or you can draw your table based on the information that you find, obviously, but it's not necessary. If you can just have 1 or 2 sentences to show those differences, it's also valid. I just need to know that you understand that. So let's quickly reference that article. Okay, I've already copied that information. This will go to your list of references. If you look at the surname, it starts with O, so O will come after OP. So before this one. And then obviously you'll have to follow TUT methods there once again with the upper cases and so on, but I think you get the idea here. As well as the other things. There is 2016, but we just want citation. It will be referencing that person. And we have that information. The use of the symbol and the page number lastly here. And then when you refer to that article, you will see you're gonna have more ideas and more things to talk about. Provide a table representing mostly what's used theories, mentions, or concepts. So most widely used theories, online shopping. So we must provide a table. Let's quickly provide that table. It says in that table we must show mentions, the concept, authors, and year. So it's theory 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Something such as 5 columns will work. That could be table 1, which is most used theories or theoretical framework. Theoretical frameworks to study online shopping, because we said we're going to focus on that. And we want a table whereby we will show all those 5 variables, for example. So this is a theoretical framework that we're going to look for. Theoretical framework. It's followed by, they say, mentions. We should indicate how many it was mentioned in our limited study. I think this is concepts that will be studied. They say authors and year. Okay, let's quickly conduct a quick search. So we're gonna go back to Google Scholar here and search online shopping study. Our study, it's about online shopping. Let's quickly search our study because it must relate to our topic. Where is that title? It's here. It must relate to students, perceptions. So let's make sure we search the correct variables. So we use comma. At least the study must mention students, must mention perceptions, must mention purchase intentions. It must mention online shopping. Any study that mentions this is relevant to our topic. The impact of online shopping experience on risk perception, it's applicable to our study. We just need to find out what module was used here. So maybe we can also indicate here theoretical framework. It should also mention a theoretical framework. You will see what I've spoke about here to make your title interesting in the study. They made it very interesting. This is a qualitative study, for example. Okay, let's quickly not mention theoretical framework and do a manual search of theories. So if you open this study, for example, and you read the abstract, they usually tell you the theory that was, or the model that was used in that study there. So you can do this manually, or you can just conduct a quick find, and then this can say theory. You see they have theory of perceived risk. That's the theory that they've used here. We already know that one. But let's quickly go to page 7. You will have to just have a look about that theory a bit. First of all, theory of perceived risk was adopted. You can see we already have that. So we take that one. Theory of perceived risk is the first one that we found that is used to investigate this topic. This will help you to also choose the theoretical framework that it's more appropriate and is relevant to your discipline, meaning that you chose a theoretical framework that it's used in most of the studies, and that actually shows that you understand a research. So this is very important part of your topic. I must indicate that part. Theoretical. Theory of perceived risk is number 1 that we find. So far it was mentioned by one person. So for now, we'll keep it as 1 up until we find another person who mentioned it. What are the concepts that are discussed in that study? If you look in this study, gender, for example, is one concept that they're discussing. Product category, these are the concepts on perceived risk, previous online shopping experience, product category, gender. So the concept that this study discussed are these ones, but you can just take one. Perceived risk is the theory, so we already have that one. So I will say gender and product category, maybe something such as that one. Keep it simple, just one variable. They are looking into these theories in terms of the influence towards gender. Okay, this one Google is gonna do it for us quickly. Remember, you're gonna, and at the end of the day, you still have to have that list of references. So this was the first study. And you already have those citation. Start with DA. So it should be the first one so far. Remember, we keep an alphabetical order. There we have it. And then you will have to change it, obviously, to fit TUT guidelines. But we are interested in the table. What we need is only these two, the authors and the year. And then we're done with that part. 2007. And we can find this in the list of references. And then we continue our search looking for the next theory. If you go to the next set article, Understanding Online Purchase Intention, Contributions from Technology to Trust. In the abstract there, they should tell us what theory is used. I must just indicate to you something very important here is that you will see it says access provided by Tshwane University of Technology. It's because I'm using TUT Wi-Fi. If I'm logging in with my own network, I won't have access. It will ask me to pay for this article. So at the moment, I'm using access that is TUT Wi-Fi. And as a student of TUT, you have that access as well. But now it simply means that you must use, it's either you must be on campus to download an article, or you must also use TUT network whereby you are in TUT library and so on. But that's not necessary, especially in the midst of the pandemic. So for example, here, I can get this article, everything that's written PDF here. Instead of clicking here, if it wants access for you, click on this one that says PDF. And then it will quickly download PDF regardless whether you have access or you don't have access. So if it wants money, just look for the ones for that says PDF. But if you really love the article, the idea of the article, just take note of the title. And when you are on campus at one stage, you can download the full article there. Once again, we search the word theory because it will help us to find this easy. And you can see here they use theory of technology acceptance model, TAM. They define it there. Let's see. You see they have a conceptual model from here. So once you understand this differences between theoretical framework and conceptual framework, it's gonna be easy for you to actually do this search and understand what exactly is needed. So here they use technology acceptance model. I just want to show you the difference between, before we copy technology acceptance, the last difference between between theoretical framework and conceptual framework. Let's see if they illustrated the technology acceptance model here. Technology acceptance model. Okay, they did not illustrate it, but they defined it. So an example of an illustration of a theoretical framework. A theoretical framework, let me show you an example quickly. It's already in your assignment actually. This one is an example of a theoretical framework. It shows the relationship between variables. When you apply it to a specific study, you will get what we refer to it as a conceptual framework. So let me show you an example of a conceptual framework. It's the one that will show you H1, H2, the relationship between hypotheses. So in the one that we are searching now, they talk about the conceptual framework that they've proposed based on technology acceptance model. This is an example of a conceptual framework because it applies specifically to this study. You'll see it's drawn by the researchers themselves and so on. So our search was about that table. So in this case, we said technology acceptance model was used in this article. So that becomes number 2. So far we found it mentioned by one person. As soon as we find another person mentioning it, we'll update that. If you can do at least 10 of this search, 10 studies, it's more than enough. In general, when you conduct your research study for the purpose of assignment, just do 10 to 15 or less than 15, don't do more than that. But in general, when you do this search, it takes you like a month to find a correct theory because you will analyze all studies. Sometimes all those studies in your topic could be more than 100, could be 200 studies. You just analyze those theories. So that's part of research. So let's look at the concept. What concept did they discuss in this study? These are the concept. That's another idea. When you're looking for concept, if they have a conceptual framework, they already have concept. So the concept is trust, perceived risk, and you'll remember the other theory was perceived risk. You'll see they are related. They discuss attitude, usefulness. So in this study, we can take all these concepts, or you can just take one. It's just to indicate what concept. So you've got trust there. They discuss attitude. And what else? Usefulness, for example. And then this part, once again, search engine has already done it for us. So if you quickly reference that, this was the second article. I always choose the Harvard method because it's related to TUT method. You'll see here it's different methods that they are using. There are many reference styles that can be used. I'm sure you've noted that one. Sorry, pasting in the wrong place. So firstly, we should look at the surname. This is a South African surname though, Van der Hagen. So if we look at, that is V. Okay, probably not South African. V will be towards the end of our list of references. That's why I said this table is part of what you need to do. So all this list of references, it's something that you already will have there. Published in 2013. That's another thing to look at your sources if they are outdated or up to date. So in future, before you search here, also maybe tell Google that you want articles from 2015 or from 2017. You'll see it always give you the suggested date, which is, but if you don't find articles, you don't find, and a theory is a theory, you can't change it. So I will not necessarily penalize you, or we don't review or check the updated sources or whether they're up to date, the sources in terms of theories, because theories is a foundation. You can find a theory that was developed in 1970 and it's still applicable for that. So we want that. That's what we need in our table. But the year it's on a different page. So we quickly have that. Okay, there are no initials here. No initials. Or you can keep it simple, et al. Remember, this is just a table. This is not citation. So when you write it in brackets, it might be necessary to include all of them or to be specific. And then you continue your search. Once again, you find other articles. The more you do your search, let's find one article that repeat the same module. So let's search something such as technology acceptance module. Beside this article, I just want to show you whereby you've got two. So already this one, you'll see it's included in the title. We know this article is investigating online shopping and it's using technology acceptance module. So I'm going to quickly reference it. I don't think there is a need for us to read the article, but there is always a need. I must indicate that. So TONG. So if we want TO, it's going to be in a list of references. Somewhere here. And then if you already have concept in the study, you can also look at the concepts here in the study itself, the title. For example, in this case, understanding online shopping trust, you'll see it's in the title there, but in this case, I don't think you'll find the concept here. Okay, yeah, here we won't be able to understand the concept, but we already know they're discussing this module, so we've got two. We can update that one. It was mentioned twice. And now this becomes match. Just wanted to show you this tip. This becomes part of the same module. So we'll come back to concept. Just wanted to have another study showing that study is also discussing the same theory. So that's why we'll have two. Technology acceptance is mentioned twice. Obviously, it will come number one. Obviously, start your table from the best, the one that is mentioned mostly. And then the concept, okay? If you quickly, which one is it? It's this one. Even here, even if you don't have PDF, you can use this thing such as full view. If it shows you full view, it's also available online. The concepts in the abstract there, we can be able to pick them up as well. Usefulness is one of the things that they test. So they use this for usefulness. To the previous one. And once you've done with your table, I think you do get an understanding of how I think this is very important, and it helps you to also find some tips. So I'm not going to continue with the whole table in the interest of time. So you've done that part. As long as you can at least discuss 10 studies in total in that table. So if you can have 10 to 15 studies, you are done with that part. You'll see it will give you a nice idea as well to understand those theoretical frameworks. And then you discuss the results and findings regarding the most widely used theories. So you discuss that table, which ones were used most. You will see here, I gave you a nice article as well. Refer to articles on mostly widely used theories. There are 2 articles. The first one is by Kim. The second one is by Avant. These articles are available on Brightspace. There is also a page number. So in this article, we're going to go to page 306. I'm just giving you an idea how you can discuss your findings or your results. So let's quickly go to the article by Kim. Articles about most widely used theories. So it's already on Brightspace. If you quickly go to Brightspace here, article on most widely used. This is by Avant. This is by Kim. So it said the guidelines here indicate that the one about Kim, we're going to go to page 306. So let's quickly download that article. And quickly go to page 306. So in these articles, what they've done a systematic review of something similar. But in this article, what they do a systematic review based on many things. For example, they do a systematic review about the medias, the topics that were studied. They do a systematic review about theory, and that's the one that you are doing, theoretical aspects. They define it, but you don't have to read everything. They tell you how they collected data. You don't have to read all this. You just go to that page whereby how can I discuss the findings. It's just an example. So I'm quickly gonna go there. I will also show you their table as well. You will see they have here they were telling us how they collected the data. Here, these are the results. These are the theories that were found. You will see what they say here. But before that, I just wanted to show you that table. Okay, this is not about the theories. The table is not about the theories. It should be down, maybe. Let's quickly go down. You see here, they've done a theoretical review. You'll see they found top 30 theories. So you can do something similar, top 5 theories in your study, and then you don't do all those studies. You'll see this is a theory. It was mentioned 48 times or by 48 authors. This is an involvement. IMC, we know that theory. There is uses and gratification, media, attitudes towards advertising. We know that one. It was mentioned 9 times. You'll see it start from the ones that are mentioned the most as well. But how did they discuss, or how did they discuss these findings in a paragraph? This is what we're looking for basically here. So once again, I've made your job simple here. It's on page 306. So now I'm going to quickly go straight to page 306. Where are we now? We are on page 306. So it's defined, the discussor here. Overall, the results show that print was the most studies. Okay, our study is not about print. Our interest is about the modules that are used. So it's this one. No, research approaches. No, it can't be research approaches. Should be about theories. There we go. Theory present. As shown in figure 1. Yeah, there. That is one. Dual process model. was the most frequently mentioned theory, followed by this one, followed by that one, followed by that one. So if you can have a sentence such as similar to this one, just to discuss your findings, the ones that you found in your table. So you're only discussing your table. So this is an example, basically. So for example, if this one was mentioned mostly, technology acceptance was mentioned mostly or mentioned by 3 authors and so on, followed by theory of perceived risk. So it's just a general idea. So on the next article that I've also suggested there, you'll see a write-up. So we can call it a write-up as well. You can download it on Brightspace there. After that, you choose one theory that you think you're gonna use in your study. If you choose technology acceptance theory, you define that, when was it developed, and then you provide a diagram, and then you indicate how your theory will work. So this is the end of a discussion. So, and then you're done with that assignment or that assessment. So I think the most important part I wanted to illustrate today is some tips on search engines, how to search information, as well as to provide you with a clear indication of how you can write this table and what are the theories and so on. So I think at this stage you have a better understanding of the assessment and you should be able to do it correctly. But I would also like you to answer some few questions. I think it's 10 questions. This will help you to refresh your mind as well as to analyze where you are struggling or where you're lacking the understanding. So we're gonna do it in a quizzes format. It's gonna be an interactive or a fun game. We've done it last week, so you are familiar with it. So on the next page, to get the best experience of quizzes, I suggest that you use a smartphone. So, and then you go to quizzes on your smartphone, but you are looking at the screen on the computer. But if you are using just one smartphone, you are not on the computer, you can also go to quizzes on the web browser while the Microsoft Teams is active. It's just gonna run it in the background. You don't have to log in. It's just a multiple choice. So at this time is 14:32. So we're gonna make it a 15 minutes exercise. So by 10 to 3, you should be done playing the quiz. And we will review questions that gave you some problems. Oh, it's 8 questions. So 8 questions, 15 minutes. How many minutes per, or 2 minutes per question? So we've got 2 minutes to answer each question. I'm gonna make it a live quiz. It's gonna end, which means you can't be able to play the quiz afterwards because we need to discuss feedback here. So I'm gonna quickly copy these instructions and paste them in the chat box. That's your game code 558269 that you're gonna use in the quiz. So I'm gonna quickly paste it in the chat box just in case you. So we're gonna call this learning activity 2. And 15 minutes. So by 10 to.
Sir, how do I log into the quiz using my laptop?
You just go to, you see the instruction, go to join my quiz. I'm still typing them here on the screen. So I'm gonna paste them now and then it's gonna be much easier for you to do that.
Okay, so thank you.
All right, yes, you can just copy and paste that. So enter game code, use any nickname there. You don't have to use your student number or anything. So I've already have that. So I'm gonna quickly paste it here in the chat box. Use any device, join myquiz.com, enter game code 558269. So it's in the chat box there. I'm gonna start the quiz as soon as I see a participant here. Once you have joined, it will allow me to start the quiz and then you can continue to play while the others are joining. So the quiz is a multiple choice session, but multiple choice quiz, but keep your screen, your eyes on the screen for leaderboard to see whether your answers are correct or not. We're gonna discuss feedback afterwards. But because I want you to concentrate, so I'm gonna mute myself this side, but I'll be able to hear if you have any questions. You'll just unmute the mic if you have any questions regarding that. But for interest that because you need to focus, I'll be quiet and you'll be focusing on those questions. So please join the quiz and participate. And if you have any questions, please let me know. We'll discuss feedback afterwards at 10:02.
So we joined the quiz for students.
Sorry, you were asking?
No, I'm okay now, sir.
Oh, you're okay now, okay. Okay, it looks like we are done. So I'm going to quickly end the game so that we can discuss the feedback as well as to see the report and see which questions gave you hard time and maybe provide some clarity on those questions. Well, firstly, congratulations, V, for maintaining that first position there. And Zintle.
Thank you.
Oh, V, do you have a speech? Would you like to thank your mom and your father and your parents?
I'd like to thank my dog, firstly.
For that one,
And
number
my
one
parents.
position.
Thank you.
Okay. Princess, what was going on there? Did you try some element of working out the maths? It didn't work out. What was going on?
I don't know what happened.
All right. Let's quickly look at the feedback here. I'm not worried about questions where you scored 60%. It's like all of you scored it correctly. So a question such as this one, question 2 and question 6 and question 3, let's look into that. In question 1, it was only one user who was able to score that correctly. So which one is a theoretical framework? Is derived from an existing theory that has already been tested and validated by others. That is a theory framework, not a conceptual framework, because it's like marketing theory or psychology theory, communication theory. It's been derived from existing, it's already been tested, others have validated that. That's why we call it a theoretical framework. And number 2, which framework represent what the researcher understand about the literature and how the research will be investigated. So this is what the researcher understands. He draws that framework, that is a conceptual framework. As you can see here, but it was only one player. Most of you chose theoretical framework. So true or false? Conceptual framework. So we focus on conceptual, not theoretical, the one drawn by the researcher, the one showing hypothesis. Conceptual framework scope is generally wide and beyond the current research problem. Remember, the current research problem is what you are investigating. In our example, we're investigating online shopping. So now it's saying this conceptual framework is general, wide. It's generally wide, which means it's broad and it's beyond online shopping, current research problem. That is false. That is a theoretical framework that is generally wide. It's beyond, because ours will only be focusing on our study. So conceptual framework it's narrowed to our study, meaning that it's just a researcher's construction of how we will tackle the research problem, not beyond it, not more than that. So it was false here. Okay, here it's much better accuracy. The above illustration, you'll see that is a theoretical framework. You'll see that is a conceptual framework with H1, H2. So that's the differences. TUT citation method, why was you chose, most of you chose this one, but we don't, if you look here, it's italic, the title, but that's not supposed to be italic, it's the journal that's supposed to be italic. So more references, you'll need to look obviously into your how the citation guides works. Once again here, what do we citation, that if it's an article, okay, this one was got correctly, 60%, I'm not worried about that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of today's session. So I'm gonna quickly stop the recording. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask any questions. But have a lovely weekend and good luck with the assessment. So bye, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye. Bye.